Who's her favorite child? Is it Northwest?
I think that's her kid.
Yeah.
So it's considered to be Mexican food with particular fondness for guacamole and chips.
It's her favorite.
Otherwise, she likes chicken tenders, fries, pasta without sauce, In-N-Out burgers, McGriddles, other snacks.
Has she been seen eating these things?
I don't know.
Okay.
There's nothing.
There's not like a picture of her eating a McGriddle? Because I feel like that'd be fucking great.
So,
I'd put that
according to this website, which is the most recent thing, she eats lean proteins, green veggies. She likes nuts. Hydration. No, these are all old for the most part.
Okay.
Well, all right.
Let's say she loves chicken tenders.
Yeah, she likes chicken tenders. She's a fan of In-N-Out. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of In-N-Out. We ate it, though, right? We ate it in San Diego.
Yeah, is it San Diego or is it Texas? Which one's in Texas?
Whataburger.
What? Okay.
We had that before we went to the airport. Like, Hawk dropped us off.
So I know where to cut it.
Oh, all right.
That's why they do that in the movies. Like, they bring that thing in
Yeah,
and they do
yeah.
that. I guess maybe I knew that, but I never realized it.
What is that thing called?
That is called a...
They use it in the F1 series on Netflix.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think it's right, but I want to say somebody I want to say like a cut board or something.
Cut board in film. Let's see if that's it. The AI in film video production, a clapperboard, also known as a clapboard, slate, or film slate, device used to synchronize picture and sound.
Yeah.
Welcome to the dumbest 30 minutes. I'm Brian. This is Will. We left our clapboard at home. Now that we know that's what it's called, for all intents and purposes, that whiteboard is our clapboard.
Use this so I know where to edit, because we've been talking a little bit before we actually
started
the podcast. So, and to be completely transparent, we were just looking up facts on Kim Kardashian because we realized we hadn't talked about her this week, which, sorry, Kim. It's like another week she's not going to support us on this shit.
Yeah. Nothing really popped out to me. I don't know.
Yeah, so we looked up what her favorite foods are, which there's a big list. Apparently she eats a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever actually seen her eat. But chicken tenders.
Mexican food.
Yeah, guacamole specifically.
Chips.
And then In-N-Out.
Right.
Which... that's when we started talking. We've had it in San Diego before, but we've never. Then I forgot if it was that place that's in Texas or not. But you said it's Whataburger.
Whataburger.
And then that just reminds me of Tom Segura. I forget what stand-up special it is, but he has a joke about how they ask you, "Are you going to eat in your car today?" And it's like basically it's just you asking like, "Are you going to be a piece of shit today?" And they bring you your food. They'll bring you the tray. Everything else. I'm like, yeah, I eat in my car sometimes.
Yeah.
More than I probably should. I never feel like a piece of shit.
Right.
When they ask you that way, it's like, yeah, that's true. They're probably like, yeah, you're just going to be a piece of shit. You're not going to come inside? Cool.
Right. No, honestly, between those, like, I know it's been years since we ate them, but they don't like call to me. I'm like, I don't have this taste for that. But I did a while ago have Shake Shack. It was delivered.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was good. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yes.
Like everything I ordered, I had like 2 burgers, fries, and like a shake. And like I said, it was delivered and it was still good. Like the fries were crispy. So Shake Shack, you want to sponsor us? We have a second spot. Our first spot to our number one sponsors, supporters, the Doctors Rosen.
Hello, thank you.
So number 2 could be Shake Shack.
Yeah. There's one other good burger joint that we don't go to often. It was over by the Wheaton Studio. It was like around the corner from it. It's not the burger joint. but the whole thing was just like all different types of burgers that you can have. It's like different, like you'd have it
Oh.
like any way you want. So you have it like with eggs and cheese and something else. Not like there's a like
Oh, okay.
breakfast burger, and there's another one that was like, is it ringing a bell? We've gone there before. I just can't think.
No.
There's another one that's in LaGrange, over by the LaGrange studio, but it's like it's on the same side of the tracks as LaGrange, but it's like over where like the Chipotle's at on the other side of the street. If that makes sense.
I'll be honest, it doesn't ring a bell. But down the street here, so off of Yackley or College Road or Worley, whatever it is, depending on where you're at on the street here, there is a place called Burger City.
Oh, okay.
And it's in that strip mall that was by our old apartment.
Okay.
And that place was actually really, really good. The burgers were good. Their fries were good. Their chicken wings were good, if I recall. It's like a small little thing.
Do medium or medium rare?
I'm like indifferent, but I don't mind medium rare. I like it.
Last week, Father's Day, we had the burgers. I just remember they said, "Oh, that's Brian's burger," right?
Maybe.
But
I
I
asked
don't know
for
if it's
different
like-
cheese.
Oh, maybe that
I
was
think
it
it was
then.
the cheese.
Okay, I thought it was because of how it was cooked. I'm like, I feel like we
Okay.
always do medium rare. I don't
When I
remember
was
a time when
younger, I used to be like more of like a medium well.
Mm.
I don't know how I did that.
I'm glad you grew up.
Yeah, I grew up. Yeah, I prefer the steak medium rare. I don't like it rare though. Like I'll eat it if it is that. It still needs to be warm because like if it's a steak, I need the fat to not be like completely liquefied, but you take that bite and it's like just like melts right through your teeth.
Yes.
Like that's clutch.
I don't want to have to gnaw through my steak.
Right.
Like when the vertical diet, when we were doing steak every single day, like 4 times a day.
Right.
There were some bad steaks in there.
Oh yeah.
Not like just like ones where it's just like, just remember my teeth hurting or like my gums hurting from chewing so much. And I was like, I'd start chewing on the other side because it was just like, Jesus Christ, this is so much.
It was mass production of steak in the oven. So it was hit or miss with what was how it was cooked.
That was the first time I stuck to a diet though.
Yeah.
And I feel like
same.
There, I used to always think it was such a cliche or like bullshit thing to say, like, oh, you need a support system, because there's that like old school mentality, just do it on your own, just fucking make it happen, right? And then I just remember when we started, we'd cook together, and then eventually work or school or whatever's in the way. So then it turned into, cool, I'll go get it, or I'll cook it, or you bought the groceries, I would cook it, or vice versa.
Yeah.
But there was always steak at the house, and it made it so much easier to stick to it. And then that's when you lost like 30 pounds or something?
Yeah, 30 pounds.
You got under 200 for a minute there.
Yeah, and got stronger.
Yes. And then I remember I wasn't even trying to lose weight. I just wanted to eat steak and rice, and it was cool. It's clean eating.
Yeah.
It's like cleanest I've ever eaten. And it was back when I was doing Misfit training programming, and we had to do like 1,000-meter sandbag carry or run.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a test that they did at the beginning and the end of the programming. And so I had to go see, like, I think the sandbag had to be 100 pounds or something. And so I went to go weigh it with myself on there, and I weighed myself for the first time. I don't even know how long at that point, but I ended up weighing like 182 or something. But before that, I remember weighing like 195 to 200, like hovering between that. I was like, the fuck, I've lost 15 pounds about. Like, it was just because we were doing all that, and I didn't even know any better. But yeah, it was probably the leanest I've been myself.
Yeah, I think the components with it was the amount of volume of working out that was being done. We were easily doing 2 to 3 workouts 6+ days a week.
Yeah, sometimes 7.
And the diet itself, the vertical diet, or how we ran it, was almost like a handful of steak, a cup to a cup and a half of rice, salt, and
spinach,
a small handful of spinach and
carrots,
and
then
orange
sometimes
juice.
you throw peppers in there too.
Occasionally, I think there were some peppers, but we would drink orange juice. Sometimes the orange juice with like Greek yogurt mixed together. But it was pretty cut and dry, super basic.
Yeah,
and the only seasoning we used was salt.
Yeah, I would throw cheese on my steaks, or like even on the white rice. Just saying, like, we'd change up the cheese every once in a while too. Like if it sat well with your stomach, but like I needed to have something on it. But that was, I mean, I love steak. I could eat that. All right, it's recording. And, oh my God. Yeah, with a steak, just remember always throw some cheese on it. There were some days, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like I still felt like I wasn't like eating enough. Because the idea with the diet, for anybody who doesn't know what the vertical diet is, I won't get super specific. But
Shout out to Stan Efferding.
Yes, the White Rhino, strongest bodybuilder on earth, or was. But anyways, very smart guy. But anyways, we would have the steak, and then the idea is the amount of carbs or white rice you put into it, or whatever type of carbs you're getting. It doesn't have to be white rice. This is what we chose because it was inexpensive and easy to cook. But if you're doing a lot that day, you put more white rice into it.
Right.
You put more carbs into it. So that way you can fuel your body. And then the days where you're not, you cut back on that. So it's like your maintenance level of whatever you need for the day. That's how much carbs you're going to throw into it. And it's very easy to ration that out. So anyways, there's only so much of that you can eat before you're like either sick of it or you're just not feeling like eating it. But there would be some days where I would just order Little Caesars or Pizza Hut or something.
We did the cheat days.
Yeah, we would just like have like a full pizza or two there, and I just eat that. Like I'm not getting enough calories for how much we're working out. Like there's not enough steak and white rice in the world to make up when I need to. I never felt bad or felt like I got fat from eating the pizzas at that time either.
Right, yeah, no, I felt like any cheat day I had no problem. I had abs all the time, which was probably one of the cooler trade-offs that I just always had abs. Then I noticed that I had a hernia and my lipoma. So I'm just finding out all these things that have been hidden underneath my layers for that. So
remember the hernia thing?
Yeah, so the hernia is there, always present. It looks like I'm playing with my belly button as I push it back in when I'm lifting. So I'm sure people are like, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Why is he, fingering his belly button while we're squatting?"
Yeah.
No, I'm just pushing my intestines back in. It's a small one. It's not a major issue, and it hasn't gotten worse.
That's
good. The other thing, though, and I don't know how much we did, because I know you like sweet potatoes now, but I do. Did we do sweet potatoes too?
Sometimes. I feel like that was just hard to cook at the time.
They're more tedious.
Yeah, because I feel like we tried it a couple times. Then maybe when we were eating that way, when Sarah started to like sleep over more, I feel like there were a few times when she was over, she would cook that.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't often. It wasn't sometime after that we stopped eating that way.
More so,
focusing so much on it.
More so over the last few years when I've meal prepped with school and everything. We'll prep a lot of sweet potatoes, but they are more so tedious to cook than rice. So you got to chop them up and then they bake.
And when it's just two dudes living together, it's like, what's the easiest? That's it. It doesn't matter about anything else.
Yeah, the rice cooker was
clutch.
Yeah, and it was a big one. It was very efficient and used.
But yeah, I would not have been able to do that without you there. No homo. Just because it
could be homo.
Those days, maybe a little homo, but it was just like there were those days where I didn't feel like cooking or doing something, and it was like either you would take over or it would be that sense of like, okay, well, I'm not just cooking for myself. I can't be lazy for both of us, especially if I already told you I'm going to do it. And then it's like a 2-week rule. It's not just my rule. I feel like they say it all the time, form a habit 2 weeks. But like after a week or two of that, it just became like that's just clockwork. It's going to happen. We're going to do it. But if that had not happened those first couple weeks, no 6-pack, I wouldn't have lost the weight or whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten stronger.
Yeah.
Which brings us to, talking about steak. Today is Wagyu Day. So
yeah, national holiday or international holiday.
International. We don't know the specifics on that one, but
there's
a few other ones. Go ahead.
Wrote down a whole goddamn list of national holidays. Might rage in a second here, but here were some of them. I couldn't even keep up with all the days he was reading off to me. Wagyu, yoga, National Selfie Day, National Cookie Dough Day.
Yeah, so if you want to celebrate, you don't want to spend the money on Wagyu, you could either go buy cookie dough.
Or just take a picture of yourself.
You can take a picture of yourself eating either of those.
National Wiener Day, the dog.
the dog.
Weirdos. Flexible work day, like flexible hours.
Right.
Peaches and cream day. I don't know what van life day. Dog party day. Arizona day. It's also the day of the gong. And then Canada Indigenous Peoples Day. What the fuck is the point of a holiday if everybody has a holiday every day?
Right.
Like, this is the problem with participation trophies and ribbons and bullshit like that.
But you could probably, if you really wanted to, you could knock off a bunch of these in like one event. You could have a dog party where you're serving Wagyu and your dessert is cookie dough. And you could be serving it to wieners.
Yeah.
Humans or the dog.
Yeah.
Hopefully not dog, not wiener dog to humans. That maybe in some places they do that. I don't know if it's a delicacy or not.
Yeah.
And it could be a dog party. It could be a wiener dog party. It could be a wiener party.
In a van.
And it could be done in a van. You could do your cooking in the van.
Yeah. Anyways. Just fucking ridiculous.
There's a lot today.
Yeah.
There's a lot. And
I don't even know where to start celebrating.
There's a few, it's like national weeks for a bunch of stuff that we did not write down, but those things have most likely been celebrated somewhere nationally or internationally.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't know. If I had to pick one of these days, I feel like cookie dough just stands out to me.
Yeah, I'm thinking cookie dough will be celebrated today, especially after this workout today.
What was the name of the froyo place that we used to go to?
The froyo.
That one was also by Whedon.
And Whedon. That turned into the Lemon Shark?
I believe so.
No idea. But it was a froyo.
Yeah. Where
you go and you pull down and make your own. And I never understood those places because they give you so many free samples that like you can technically just load up on that. And then do you actually have to buy anything?
There was the one day me and Hawk went there and we had a competition who get the heaviest cup or like get the most in it. I don't even remember who won. Might have been him. But
I could see him going, over pushing that. Yeah.
Shout out to Hawk House.
Yes.
Miss you, brother. Love you.
Love you.
But yeah, cookie dough I think is my favorite. Either that or cake batter. Mix of the two.
The ice cream?
Yeah, or just like some mix of it. Like
or a cake batter cookie dough.
Yeah.
Birthday cake cookie dough. There's
like Cold Stone. Sorry, go on.
Oh no, yeah, sorry. The not Cold Stone, but Cookie Dough Creations in downtown Naperville.
Oh, I've been.
They do the cookie dough like it's ice cream, and you can get a cup or cone or whatever the fuck you want of either cookie dough or ice cream, or you could get a combo. And they have that like Cookie Monster one, which is like Oreo cookies and it's blue.
Blue, yes. I remember that. I think I've only been there once or twice, but I remember that. The blue one, because like Cookie Monster sounds like it'd be good, and then you see the blue shit. You're like,
right, it's questionable.
This isn't what I thought it would be. Looks like a kid had his hands in it.
Right. When we were in Jersey, we were right next to a Cold Stone actually, and around Halloween they do this like spooky flavor, which is like a dark purple / black.
Okay.
And so that was ordered. Both of us ordered that, and then I just.
Or did it have
good? I don't remember. I'll be honest, I don't remember.
Good's a flavor.
I'm pretty sure I had like golden Oreos in it or some other stuff. It was good. I mean, it went down. And then I just remember, TMI or not, I don't really care. The next day, my shit was weird. I was like, there must be something wrong with me. And then I, confirmed it with Sarah. And it was, sorry, Sarah.
She doesn't poop. That's a lie.
Well, yeah. So she doesn't poop, right? Girls don't poop.
She confirmed she saw the shit stains on the toilet that it was black.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Right. Yes. So
we're cutting that.
Anyways, she had confirmed with me that I was not losing my mind because she saw what I had produced. Because obviously, I leave a mess. But I was freaking out for a little bit. I was like, "What is going on?" But then, yeah, that was the consensus was that dye that they used in the Cold Stone ice cream. So,
Cold Stone, I think that's my favorite ice cream
place. We used to get that a lot.
Yeah. When I was in high school, before I'd met you, it was one of my, but actually both of them, the two that slept over that one night, anyway, like Brian and there was Adam Briggs, I believe he was there. But anyways, shout out to those guys. We they worked at Cold Stone in Frankfurt, and everybody just always hung out. But anyways, like my whole crew of friends all worked at that Cold Stone and ran the place, which is like crazy to think about because they were 18. They had no business doing it. We were just talking about last time I hung out with all of them. It's like, who the fuck would trust us with that? Like, I wouldn't trust me with that right now, let alone an 18-year-old that I just met.
Right.
But yeah, they ran it. So anyways, I'd be in the back with them when they were closing up or help close up. But I don't know if it's a nostalgic thing that I like it so much, but being able to choose your flavors. But the cake batter there is like my favorite, like ever. Like I'd have that over cookie dough, no matter what.
Oh yeah,
the cookie dough is good too. I think they got one called like I think it's just like the birthday cake
remix.
Yeah. And that one, like you can't go wrong with that if you like cake batter.
Right, that's not a bad one.
Yeah, I just remember after being there and watching them work and people doing the tips and them having to sing the songs and everything and how miserable they were having to do it. Like I'll never sounds bad. I'll never tip them for that reason. Like I'd be like, you don't have to sing. Just like take the tip. That's it.
Yes. Please don't say anything or you start pulling the money out once they start singing.
Right.
When I was, before we started working together, before I was at GNC, I worked at Payway.
Ooh.
And
yes, that's right.
RIP to Payway in Willowbrook. It's now another Asian-inspired place, I believe. Or maybe there's nothing there. I don't know. But there was a time when I was there, and then four of my buddies worked there as well. And we all, did our different roles and stuff. But it's crazy to think, like, we weren't bad kids by any means, but it's funny to think of us being responsible, handling food and cleaning up, and
right.
Who would hire me to do these things, let alone my buddies? But, we managed. We were good employees. Shout out to Kevin, Zach.
Kevin, yeah.
Danny. And then one of our buddies only lasted, I'm pretty sure, like less than 48 hours. He was looking for a job. We all talked him up. He came in, did one shift, and then didn't come back for his next shift. And we all felt like horrible. We were just pissed. We were like, fuck him. Andrew. You know who you are. And I just remember, like, I was apologizing to my boss, and he was like, I'll be honest, I didn't expect much from any of you guys. So it's 1 out of 5 is totally fine. I'll take it. So,
yeah.
But that was a great time working with all of them there. It's pretty good food, too bad it's gone.
Yeah. So I don't think I ever, my first job was at a golf course, groundskeeping. I was with my best friend at the time, and his dad was the boss. I bring that up because it's like I don't think I ever had a job like up until I worked at Export with you and then Yunny and everybody that I had friends at the job. Like I always got a job where I was just like on my own. Like So like it wasn't like if you and me were to go get a job when we were 18, if we knew each other, I'd be like, the fuck are we gonna do? I don't feel like that's good news for anybody. But but yeah, I don't remember ever having a job where I was like, oh, cool, I get to see my friends today. It was always like, oh, it's a job. And you make friends there. Like, I didn't have, like, bad people there or anything.
Right.
But I remember, I don't know. I'd have to say, like, the job we have now, OTF, it's probably the most fun I've had. Especially when we used to, like, coach together.
Oh, yeah. No, it doesn't. You can't beat that. I mean,
this makes a huge difference when you want to go to work.
Right.
Or like, you want to see the people there.
Yeah, no, it's the same as coaching at AMP. I feel like that you have a good community, regardless of the service you're providing. I think my first job was at the patio, which coincidentally started the span of me with all of my jobs. Originally, was all off of 75th.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Right by where the first Willowbrook OTF opened. But I was supposed to start there with another one of my friends, who had told me, he's like, yo, you should apply. They're looking for more people. And then I go apply and talk to the manager, and he's like, yeah, you'll start this day. And I come in, and my buddy wasn't there, and the manager's like, is your friend coming? And I was like, I don't know. I was under the impression he is. And long story short, he never actually started working there. I don't know why, but I think it worked out because I wasn't, I was by myself, and you had to meet people and interact and learn how to interact with people you don't know, and not just interact with, but like work with, and you gain those relationships. And so I think it was like a blessing in itself that he chose not to start working there.
Right.
Which I think helped develop me, and
it's easy to have a crutch.
Right. Yeah. There's no crutch there. So that helped build my rapport and learn, how to work with people and that customer service base. I mean, I surely was immature. I mean, I'm still immature, so haven't figured that part out. But I think over time it's developed.
It's gotten better.
Yeah, I think
you're
so.
like level 5, you're like level 1 now.
Is that
like level 0 would be like you're not immature. Like, oh no,
oh,
consider
gotcha.
Brian immature.
Right.
Level 1 is like when to bust it out.
Yes, there's some self-control, and sometimes there's no self-control, and it's more fun.
Not telling the members to drop their kitty to the floor anymore.
I have not said that in a long time. I thought about it actually yesterday because at Orange Theory there was the squat, reach, and rotate.
Oh yeah, okay.
This is a TRX exercise. You're holding on to one of the handles that's supported by the wall, and you drop into a squat. And some people, they don't understand that concept of bending their hips and knees. So I'm telling them, okay, you're going to bend your hips and knees, and
instead they do Keanu Reeves from The Matrix.
Yeah, it's this Matrix attempt, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I wonder if half those people even would know that reference.
God, I hope so.
Yeah, you would. But I'm just thinking Reeves. What is a good cue I could throw out there? And if back in the day, I probably would have came right out and drop your kitty to the floor. Mm-hmm. But I thought about it. I didn't use it.
Those are the things that work, though. Yeah. If it doesn't perk someone's ears up, then they don't fucking listen. Yeah. It's not even a bad thing. It's like I'm the same way. Everybody's the same way. Unless you hear something that you're like, wait, what just happened? Then that's when you got them.
Yeah, someone on the ski erg this past week, they weren't moving through their legs as much, and I was like, you just need to back it up, like throw that thing back. And I got a look, and then they did it, and they were like, oh wow, okay. And
I'll never forget you.
Yeah, I it's funny, in Jersey there was one of the coaches was working with one of his clients, and at their gym, which is like Orange Theory, it's called like Alpha Fit Club. It's its own different thing, but they have the ski ergometer, which was cool to have. Been she was having trouble like producing more power on it, and he was like asking. We had a good rapport where he had no problem asking me questions on like helping with some of his like one-on-one clients, and he's like, "Can you help? Like, what would you tell her differently to help her build up more power?" I'm like at a loss, and I was just like, mind you, I met this woman twice. I literally go, "You're gonna need to throw that thing back for me," and like she looked at me, and it like clicked. It wasn't a bad look. It wasn't a laugh. It was like, okay, cool. And then fast forward like a month or two later, I hadn't seen her in a while, and she, working out in the gym, and she comes up to me. She's like, "I just want you to know that every time we're on the ski erg at Alpha, I think about you." And I'm like, "Excuse me?" She's like, "You told me to throw it back. So every time I'm throwing it back, I'm thinking," and I just instantly start dying laughing. And I was like, "This is perfect." Like it didn't mean anything to me. I'm just used to using that cue, and shit that she'll never forget me, I guess. So hopefully when I go back and visit, maybe she'll be there, and maybe she'll remind me of that one time I asked her to throw it back.
I love how you prefaced it with, I'd only met her 2 times, as if that mattered. Like you would say it to her if she didn't, if you'd met her 1 time or 0 times. It would be like, nope. One of my favorite cues is the sphincter to the ceiling, the sphincter to the corner of the wall. And
for deadlifts.
Anything.
Or swings.
But yeah, specifically for that. I had a guy from maybe like California in my class, and he was deadlifting. He was rounding his back more than anything. And I was like, I don't want to say this to a guy I just met. Grown man, I don't know, like 40s, 50s or something maybe. And I was like, hey, I know I just met you, but I want you to aim your butthole to the corner of the wall right there when you're deadlifting. And he did it. And I was like, does it feel all right? He's like, yeah. All right. Again, thank you for letting me say that out loud. And then 5 minutes later, he goes, that felt so much different. Now I'm never not going to think about my sphincter and you when I deadlift. I've never seen that man again.
Yeah.
I hope he still thinks about me.
Right.
But it's funny how that works.
I think that's a good way to because I do the same thing. I know we just met, especially when it's somebody deadlifting the first time. Anytime they're bending over, right? You put these people, you're asking them to be in this vulnerable position. You're just like, all right, I'm probably going to be looking at your butt when you bend over. It's just awkward for you more than it is for me. And I'm going to make it even more awkward. And I usually will preface it with, I know we just met, but I'm going to need you to back that thing up and, give that rational reasoning behind it. And usually, it works. It hits like 99%. Most times I would assume these people are like, all right, this inappropriate kid is, talking out of his ass, but then they do it and they're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
But it works. It's like, for some reason, everybody, I want to say subconsciously, has this inappropriate mindset, whether they want to admit it or not.
100%.
And just things just click as soon as we take it to that level.
Taking it, it's like a step deeper on that. If you know what you're about to say is weird, it's like a teachable moment. Like, take this home if you're still watching the podcast at this point. I think we're like 30 minutes in at this point. But if you know what you're about to say is weird or awkward, just fucking own it and start with it.
Right.
And people don't seem to have a problem. Unless what you're saying is really fucked up. Then that's probably a problem, but you shouldn't be saying that anyways. But if it's like, hey, I know we just met, even if it's like you had something in your teeth, like, hey, I know I don't know you, but there's something in your teeth now.
Right.
Like, it's like, that's not weird. It's you being nice, but same with us when we're talking about somebody's ass or deadlifts or squats or something. It's like, hey, I know I just met you, but blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is that's about to pour out of my mouth, if I start off with that, they're like, the wall has come down where they're not looking at me like, they probably think something worse is about to come out of my mouth. Yeah. When I say something funny or whatever, then it's like, okay, it wasn't so bad. And they receive all of it rather than being like, if I just said, hey, point your butthole up there. Like, then it would be like, what the fuck? but when I open it up with, hey, I know we just met and I'm going to tell you something strange, then all of a sudden it's like defense is down. Everybody's cool with it.
Right.
But then use that next time you have something weird to say to somebody, or just Yeah, even if you don't like, I forget who said it, but there's a guy that I follow. I think it's like some lawyer. There's this guy named Jefferson Fisher, but I think he had something. He had another lawyer that was on that was talking about different techniques to get people to like give you more if they feel like they're like closed off.
Right.
And one of the things was like starting with the negative or getting them to say no. Like, the conversation starts at no, not ends with no. So if I was asking you like, hey, do you want to go get something to eat today? And you told me no, that makes you feel like you're in control. The no, it like gives you confidence. You said, no, you're in control of this. Like, okay, well then, like, when would you like to eat? And like, maybe what I want is that I just want to get lunch with you sometime. It doesn't have to be today, but as soon as you say no, you become, even if you don't realize it, more open to a conversation afterwards, because now you're in control. So you feel like, oh, I can talk, I can say what I want to say, and I'm still getting a conversation out of you.
Gotcha.
Or it might have been for like a sales closing, like they related it to closing a sale as well. It's like, just because they say no, they can't afford this, doesn't mean they're not going to buy the product. It's like, okay, so you said no, but like, how would it work with this? Like, you said you like this, but like, does this work better for you? And then they're more open to be like, oh yeah, like, this, whatever the thing is. I won't go deep into that, but
so you break them down, you like loosen them up a little bit.
Yeah. And
then you could just do what you want with them.
Yeah. And like tying it back to that whole, like, talking about buttholes, or starting off with the whole, like, hey, I know we just met thing, but there is something to making them feel like they're a little more in control, or like getting them like, the other thing that he was saying was about, if you tell someone, hey, I got some bad news, and you go and you tell them this news that's not actually that bad. It's just like, hey, I need you for a minute. Is that okay? Like, I have something important.
Right.
Person's probably going to be more likely to be like, oh God, what is it? And then
that's how I am all the time.
Yeah. And then as soon as you say like, oh yeah, I just need help moving this thing, it's like, oh, okay. Like, and they have no problem with it because they were braced for this really hard thing, whatever the news was or the activity was. And now it's like, oh, okay, that's it. Yeah, I got you. And then, whereas they may have said like, no, I don't have time to do that. But anyways, I haven't tried that technique often, but I remember hearing, I'm like, that actually makes perfect sense. You start thinking about situations that's happened to you, or how much more likely you are to do something or listen to something when somebody prefaces it with that weird thing at the beginning. So I guess to circle it back, it's like when I say like, hey, I know I just met you, but I'm going to tell you something weird. It's like they're probably expecting something way weirder than me just talking about their sphincter.
Right.
But anyways, that's a teaching moment over. Back to dumbest.
Yeah. So this week, your dad had the carpal tunnel release surgery.
Yes. Yeah, that on Wednesday. So it was a 15-minute procedure. Actually, 5 minutes.
5
is what the surgeon told him before he went into it.
Right.
He opted out of any anesthesia. So he asked if he could see it, and they told him no. So they put the tent over him, is what he described it as. So he was just sitting there. But he wanted to watch it happen. don't know, is there a reason why they don't let you?
I have no idea.
Because I've heard because I feel like I've heard other people say they've gotten to watch their surgery if they're not put under, but I don't know if there was something weird.
I mean, if you're wearing a mask, just like those people operating and being part of it, I would assume unless they're worried about him moving, though they probably I
can see it being even in my head I was just also thinking what if they don't know if he's squeamish or not. It's what if he does see something, he's like, oh shit, and he passes out and that wasn't part of the procedure, right?
But I don't know. Maybe a little weird to see it because he's going to be laying flat. Then they use a kickstand almost for the arm and have a table for it. So you rest that arm on that table. So he'd have to have his head turned the whole time or
yeah, that could have been it too. Just
he'd have to sit
you're not
up.
In a position to be able to see.
Yeah, it'd be a weird position, I think.
He did say he was able to see a clock. This is where the kind of a dad joke, but kind of funny. But doctor says it's going to be 5 minutes. My dad sees this clock. The doctor says, all right, you're all done. And it was only 4 minutes. He goes, Doc, you said it was going to be 5 minutes. It was only 4. He goes, don't worry, I'll take it off your bill. I thought it was a funny joke. But yeah, no, it was funny. Like I said, I asked him how he's feeling after I pick him up. And he's like, I didn't feel a thing. Everything's good. The thing that fucking sucked was those shots. I had 3, I don't know if it was Novocaine. I don't know what they put in the hand, but he said he had to get 3 different injections beforehand. It's that was the worst fucking thing ever. I can't, that hurt. Everything else is fine.
Right.
As far as I know, even the morning after when he woke up, he's like, I don't feel bad at all. I remember he was playing with his fingers a little bit and he said he could feel the stretching and everything, which makes perfect sense, but no pain. So everything's good there. Yeah, that just has to keep it elevated up until whatever he starts doing some PT. How long does the PT usually go for that?
Oh, I have no idea.
I feel like he said it was a long time, longer than what he expected. But yeah, shout out to Dad.
Yeah,
did good. And then I'm trying to think, there was
shout out to Bill Jr.
Yeah, Bill Liptak Jr. Then sometime soon, probably going back to work. But I think it's the last thing on that right arm of his. Shoulder replacement, tricep tear, carpal tunnel surgery, all in a year.
Almost a $6 million man.
He's getting close. He's going to be the new Steve Austin.
There we go.
Steve Austin, speaking of which, we just watched it, but if you haven't checked out WWE this week,
here we go.
John Cena dropped the pipe bomb on CM Punk. The opposite of what happened 14 years ago, the same week.
Actually. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. It's crazy how they keep all that. I'm sure it's digital, or they have people that are in charge of tracking all this stuff so that they could.
They may not even know it, and just some nerds online, because there's a couple pages that I follow that they'll literally put on this day in 1996.
Okay, I've seen stuff like that. Yeah.
So there are some pages that do that. So it could just be, at this point, they could just have somebody who is just in charge of looking at social media and finding that shit, and then they just go find their archives and put their stuff on or their spin on it. But it's funny. It just reminds me of Undertaker does this. It's called the one dead man show, and he just basically talks. I think it's a little bit of a motivational speech, as well as him just talking about his life and everything else. But he goes and he does this show, and afterwards he does a Q&A, and people ask him these questions. And on his podcast, he talks about this all the time. It's in 1994, you had a match with so-and-so at this time, at this place. And he's like, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I don't. He's like, these people know more about my matches than I do. Right. And I have to I remember some of the big ones, but I don't remember all of that shit. So I can only assume it's the same for them, especially the production workers. It's not they're sitting there oh yeah, I remember that day. The only person that I've heard that talks about anything and it never seems like a single one of their stories is fabricated or a lie is Ric Flair. He tells every story, and there's always somebody who's be like, yep, I was there, and he fucking did that. Yeah, he pulled his pants down. Yeah, he did this. Or oh, he was, yeah, it's the truth. There were 15 women in the lobby waiting for him. He's when he'd be done with a promo, he'd say something like, Marriott at this place, blah, blah, blah. Be there, don't bring your husbands. And that was it. And
oh, wow. And then it would happen.
At that bar at the Marriott or whatever, there would be a bunch of women there waiting for Flair and whoever he was with. But anyways, I'll just keep the WWE part short to that, because that was fucking amazing. That his promo, the way he did it, it was good.
But so CM Punk has a match with Cena.
Yes.
And last time you were saying that because it's in Riyadh.
Yes.
And he was
Saudi Arabia. He is
questionable to go, but he's
It is for
going.
sure he's doing it. He turned it very well too, if I'm being honest, because he called him a hypocrite if he's going to go to Saudi Arabia to do this after he's talked so much shit.
John Cena about CM Punk.
To CM Punk. And then when they were face to face, maybe last week, Punk said something like, "Don't use that bullshit on me. I'd follow you to Mars to kick your ass if I had to."
Oh, okay.
It was like, and I feel like just that quick sentence alone was enough to be like, oh yeah, I don't get, like, doesn't matter what he said in the past. Like, some of that just erased everything, at least in my head. I don't know if that's for everybody. You can hold it against him still if you want. But I was like, oh yeah, no. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, I hate you that much that it doesn't matter where it's
right.
at. But like immediately that whole thing just went away. Like, I don't think Cena's once brought up that it's in Saudi Arabia anymore.
Since,
so like,
yeah.
It's cool.
That book has been closed. And that's 2 weeks, you said, right? Or next week?
No, it's next week.
Next week.
28th. So
28th, Riyadh, Night of Champions.
Night of Champions. I think it's also where they'll have End of the King of the Ring. Whoever wins that. They just started this last year, but whoever wins King of the Ring, it's a main event at SummerSlam against the champion.
Okay.
They're choosing. So,
which could be interrupted by Seth Rollins, who has the Money in the Bank.
Mr. Money in the Bank.
Which is and what's in that briefcase again? It's a contract?
Just a contract for the match. So cash it in.
Okay.
They get to whenever they want to. Most people cash it in after a match is over, but sometimes they'll do it middle of a match. John Cena was a good guy. He called the match. He said, like, I challenge you at this pay-per-view. I'm using Money in the Bank. So he did it, like, the right way back when he was a good guy.
Right.
Yeah, he actually made mention last week sometime about Seth Rollins cashing in. And he's like, he's not going to cash in because it would make him look worse, because if Cena leaves with the championship belt, then that means Seth Rollins will be the only world champion, and then he can go on, be his own thing. But it almost sounded like a shot at him, like he didn't have the balls to do it, but also it works better for Seth Rollins if he doesn't fuck with John Cena.
Gotcha.
So, but it's everything matters in those promos and what they say, because like nowadays they will pull that back and they'll say, remember when you said this about Seth, and then use that against him. In the past, it wasn't always like that, so you can throw away a bunch of shit you'd hear him say on the mic. But nowadays, when they say little things like that, if you remember it, it's like, oh shit, they're calling back to that. So
gotcha.
It's neat. It feels a lot more integrated where you can enjoy it, and if you pay attention, it's a great payoff when you can call back to something like that. If you feel good, it's the same as like any TV show now, where it's like you remember something from season 1 that happens in season 3. You're like, oh shit, this is
right.
I can't believe they're doing this.
Right. That tie-in.
Yeah. So they've been going more that direction with the stories, which is great. If anybody's ever been into pro wrestling, now's the time. Get back into it.
Yeah, this is the time, because the time is now. This is the last time, right? Is that what?
The last time is now.
The last time is now.
I think he's got like 12 more dates or something before he's done.
Wow.
It's like not many more.
Yeah, now is the time. We did watch the highlights at Sweat House. Shout out Sweat House, potential sponsor. Davey.
Thanks for hooking us up.
Yeah, he reset the clock, so we had that full hour.
Yeah, we had extra like 5 minutes.
And today that tub was like colder, and I did jump in right away.
I feel like that made a big difference.
I feel like that was a total mind fuck / game changer / whatever, because I never felt like I was like sweating in the sauna itself. I mean, sure, it was warm or hot, but it was completely different than last time. And almost as if the tub was colder. And I know you lowered the temperature.
It literally did get colder. Every degree is like exponentially more bone chilling.
Toes are hurting, terrible. Fingertips.
Yeah, I couldn't. My hands were white for like a good 20 minutes after. It
was like the first time every time. And sometimes it's great for it to relive your first. Well, I guess the first time is kind of fucking awkward. So however you want to look at the first time, imagine I would say, this is along the lines of the first time, where it's awkward, right? That was like what it was like every time going in the tub. Sometimes your first time doing something like eating cookie dough, for instance, or Wagyu steak might be your mind, fireworks, explosions, but other things, it could be awkward situation, right? And that's what I felt like every time getting into this tub today. It was just that awkward first experience where you're just like, oh, that's what we just did.
Yeah. I got to do it again.
Yeah.
Can't we do this easier?
Yeah, there's a different way to do this. Maybe we should do research before. But speaking about first times, I know we had talked about, discussing the first time we met.
Yes.
Which would have tied into today's guest who bailed on us.
Ryan Sanders.
Ryan Sanders. one of like
potential co-hosts. We'll
potential
see if he keeps
co-host,
showing up or not.
if he actually shows up,
he will be our host.
Put him in the running as our third,
mm-hmm.
and it wouldn't just be Will and I. We'd be a throuple.
Yes.
Which we do pretty well with. Our triangle is pretty good. You know, Ryan and I, we bicker and we do our thing, as you know, any couple would.
I'm a good mediator.
And you are the, you know, the mediator I mean, almost every little bickering argument we've had, you are the mediator.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's you two versus me, but if I start mouthing off to you guys, you know, it's gotten bad or something. Something's happening.
Right. We've gone too far.
Yeah. So here's my theory, or my insertion here. Everybody has a first time meeting Brian story. And so drop one in the comments or tell us about it so we can talk about that in the next episode. But we met at Export Fitness in Darien. 2012, I want to say.
13 years ago?
Yeah. Shout out to John Orr.
John Orr.
Hired me.
What an asshole.
But he started a couple months before me, or maybe like a month before me, as a personal trainer. You've been working out there before. I
finally got hired when there was they had a few trainers left, and I had tried to get a job there doing anything. And I will never forget the general manager who ended up working at Orange Theory years later, which is really funny because a lot of people from Export went to OTF, and my initial manager, who was our coworker at one point, Zach Peschman, shout out to you.
Yeah, Zach.
He's the one who was part of the team that hired me. But when I first joined and I was trying to get a gym membership for free, I offered to do anything for the general manager. I offered to clean the toilets. I offered sexual favors, you know, jokingly, non-jokingly, to this gentleman. His name was Matt, I believe. And he said, you know, you wouldn't have to do any of that. I just don't have an opening for anything right now. So
I'll take the blowjob, but I don't have anything for you.
Yeah, it's like I like your, you know, tenacity and your willing to work, or, you know, willingness to work here, but I just have no open position. So I think it was a few months later, and I had talked to some of the trainers and Zach and about wanting to get, you know, work there, possibly get into training. And he came up and he's like, "Are you certified?" And I was like, "No, haven't figured out what I want to do." And he's like, "We have one that we work with. You do it, and we'll hire you. We just have a couple trainers leaving." And it was right then is when I started. And then
must have been when I jumped in too.
Yeah, I think a month or two later, Zach left or moved to another one because they would move managers around. And John Orr came in, and then Will came in. And go ahead.
Yeah. So the first day I worked at that gym, you're supposed to walk the floor or make phone calls. So I was doing all of that. And then by the time I was leaving, I went over to the supplement section. And at the supplement section, they have pre-workouts, they have protein powders, everything else. So I go to grab a barrel, I'll call it a barrel, but a jug of Syntha-6. And I'm just looking at it because I'm looking at the flavor and everything. And Brian Rosen walks up. We had not met besides maybe just a, "Hi, this is Will. Hi, this is Brian." And there was no preface to this, nothing else. I'm just holding it. And he walks up and he goes, "What are you doing, dude? You're going to waste $60. And I was like, "Oh, all right." And I remember in that moment thinking, like, what the fuck? I wanted to be like, "Who the fuck are you?" But I just remember like taking a step back. I'm like, I don't know much about supplements. Like I thought I did, but he'd worked at GNC as well. As he's just smart with that shit. I'd come to find out later, but I was like, "Oh, well then what should I get?" And then he went on to show me like 3-4 different other things I should buy that were more cost effective, as well as just better protein to dollar amount and everything else, and help me out. But I'll just never forget that first line of, "What are you doing, dude? You're going to waste $60. And I was like, on top of that, it's like almost a personal attack, because that is the brand I've been buying for like years. So I'm like, what the fuck do you mean I've been wasting all this money?
Right. Shout out to BSN. If you do want to sponsor us, I will, by all means, utilize your protein or pre-workout.
That was my first Brian moment. And I'm sure other people who are watching this have their first Brian moment as well.
That's probably the most mild Brian moment, not to speak about myself in third person. Mm-hmm. Maybe if I had used the "I know we just met, but" it would have eased that in.
100% would have. That
would have been like, "Who's this pussy?" Like,
I just remember thinking like, why the fuck? would you say it like that?
Right.
Like I'm literally, all I'm doing is looking at it. I haven't even made a purchase or anything yet. But yeah. And then, like I said, right after that, helped me out with everything. Totally kind. But it was just the bluntness of that first sentence.
Came in like the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah.
Just busted down the wall. And then we were pitted against each other.
Yes.
In, sales competition, because at Export, I don't know if it's different now, but we were just, glorified salespeople in the eyes of the management, even though like our thing was like, we want to help people, we want to train people. Of course we want to make money, but I think our goals did not align with this, trying to, hit our nut every month and, sell all this personal training to cover the cost of us working with our clients. And John Orr, he, for all purposes, his tactics, they were great. I mean, they worked. We were killing it as a team. I just remember like every month, it'd end with us having like a party of some kind.
Yeah, we always had a closeout party.
Him praising us for, helping him achieve success and us, being one of the top gyms. And then, day one, the next month rolls around and
you're all pieces of shit. Yeah. Do better.
Right. We couldn't work out. Said that, couldn't work out in the gym. I'm pretty sure he did.
He might have.
I do remember one time we were working out. Maybe it was with Donnie.
Yes. And he
came up like a bull in a china shop.
You guys haven't hit your goals yet.
Yeah. What are you guys doing? Out? Why are you working out? You make calls, get your clients in here. And, majority of the time, this guy was like hypoglycemic for whatever reason. Who knows why? And he needed his potatoes, but, he's dying and has no problem, though, yelling at us to go and, sell personal training, which we'd always end up doing. That's the thing. Is like every month, it would just be the same story over and over again. You get yelled at for about 15, 16 days, or if you make your sale, and then you're in the clear. It's like you couldn't do wrong.
Yeah. But even if you did hit your goals, like if like there would be months where I'd hit it like halfway through the month. I already hit my numbers. Like, well, what else can you bring in? Or like, oh, like the whole team hasn't, so and so hasn't hit their numbers. So like, can you get so and so to get another like 20 pack today, and then blah blah blah.
Right.
I'll make it up to you, or like something like that.
Yeah, I'll help you out. Or next month, we'll change the numbers around. But then it's like, well, you did this much last month, so why can't we do that again or more?
Yeah,
we have a great sale. I'm like, bro, I don't want to say I don't care about the sales. Like the money's great, whatever, we were getting paid, but it's like, give me a minute to breathe. You just had me hit up this person like a month ago.
And let my clients breathe.
Like,
they just bought however much.
Thousands of dollars of training, and like, that's not enough for you.
Yeah. Which I'm not against people buying more personal training. But it's just the reasoning why. It's like, they need to hit their numbers. Whatever their imaginary numbers are that they need to hit. It wasn't like the club was going under.
And we were with him for almost like a year.
Yeah, I think
it was around the time that we started the OTF journey. It was after when he was like 1 foot out the door, because after you're doing so well,
they promote you.
Yeah, they promote you to a bigger club, better demographic, and that was his goal. And he initially had told us like this was like a pit stop on his journey, but he was still there for like almost a year. And and like I said, it was on repeat, like a broken record every month, getting yelled at. He
ended up doing it too.
But he did it. He got his promotion, and that was the time that you had left or were out the door for OTF, and I was about to. I remember we were initially told by Yanni, shout out to Yanni, about OTF, and I said, fuck that. I don't like the sound of my voice.
Yes.
You went and did it. You said, we need to do this. We need to get out of here. And I did. And at that point, we had so many clients that we didn't have to have like free spaces in our schedule for new people.
Yeah, I didn't have free space.
So, and we could block our schedules. And I remember met Hawk, did that. John had left after, in my opinion, I think he screwed you over.
He definitely
if you want to go into that.
I was going to say, we're about to hit an hour, I think, but.
Oh, fuck it. Keep the train rolling.
Well, I was going to say that could be the last story if you want, because I don't know if we may still be working at Export had I not been fired from Export.
Right.
But it's just funny how the story happened, or the situation, because a green star at Orange Theory, Orland Park, somehow walks into the Export Darien and sees John Orr, and he had just been asking why I wasn't coaching as much, why I didn't have as many clients as usual, and it was because I was trying to pick up hours at Orange Theory. And just by fucking happenstance, The woman who came in on like a Monday to take my Orange Theory class comes in on a Wednesday when I'm there at Export and says, "Oh yeah, I know him up there." And I'll never forget me being in the cardio room up at the top and him sitting there with the girl, because I recognized her right away. I was like, "Oh shit, I wonder, like, we got to stay up here," like whoever my client was at the time. And I see the shitting grin on his face, and he looks up and he stares at me, and like he knew. And I was like, "Fuck, he knows." And then and I just remember he wasn't even mad. He's like, I think he said something like, "You could have told me this, like, like I'm not going to tell anybody. You're not in trouble or anything like that." But, and this is where I kind of got screwed over, because he's like, "I just need like one more month here with these numbers, and I'm out. Like, they're going to promote me. I just need, such and such." So he picked out 2 or 3 of my clients that were due for an upgrade, and we had a sale going that month. So I ended up asking people who didn't need to upgrade yet to upgrade. I ended up selling a shitload, made a bunch of commission that month, but I was picking from people I didn't need to. It didn't feel good or genuine.
Right.
He ends up making it, gets promoted, goes to the other club, and he told me he wasn't going to tell anybody.
Right. I remember this. Yeah.
And then we had that new general manager that came in that wasn't Steve. Whenever Steve left, I forget why he left, but then the other guy was there.
Steve Fisher.
Yeah, Steve Fisher.
Shout out to Steve Fisher.
He was always a good guy.
He was great.
Him. And
oh man,
yeah, I miss him. Which you don't hear a lot in the fitness industry, but he was a good guy.
Yeah.
But anyways, the other guy that came in, I can't remember his name. He was Ryan or something. Not Ryan Sanders, but somebody else. But anyways, he told him about it, and he was the new general manager, and that dude was just a dickbag. Because I remember him saying to me, "Oh, I know about this, but as long as you keep hitting your numbers, everything will be fine." And I wasn't not hitting my numbers. I think a week later, it was on a Monday night, I was about to train Brittany Southworth, and that's when he called me over to the desk at like 6:30, and I was supposed to train her at 7. He goes, "Hey, we don't need you anymore. Here are your papers. You need to sign them. You're fired." And I was like, "What the fuck?" I think the last thing I said like to you was like, "Don't let them pick anybody for Brittany. Like you train Brittany," something like that. And I walked out. I think I still have the papers sitting in the refrigerator in my dad's house, like of me getting fired.
Right.
Hey, Dad, I got fired.
It's like a report card.
Yeah, I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And like at the time, it was a big deal because like at Orange Theory, I was only getting like 7 classes a week, so it wasn't enough to make a living or anything like that. And I was like, I haven't fucked up. I haven't not made my numbers. I haven't. At least not to my recollection. Like I wasn't hitting what I was before, but I was never going to. I feel like there were some days there where I literally had 16-hour day. I'd wake up, coach at 5, and literally every hour was blocked off until 9 p.m.
Yeah. And
like, unless somebody canceled, I didn't have a free hour during the day. And I remember like falling asleep, counting reps for people, doing leg extensions in the morning. But it was like there was no way I was going to be able to make more money for them with that. Maybe I didn't cap, but it was like as hard as I could get. But yeah, they fucked me over, as well as my clientele that I had.
Right.
Because like those people, like, I think I'm a good coach. So it's like these people obviously believed in me. And then it's all of a sudden like, "Nope, you're done."
Right.
Like, what?
Right.
Like, got like 20, 30 people here who are fucking training.
My ending was similar after you left, and we had the new fitness manager. I think his name was Mike. I remember because I started with OTF after John Orr left, because Mike took me to get a haircut. Because he's I remember your hair is ridiculous. I'm sure we have a picture of that in the archives.
I'll post it.
He takes me to get my haircut, and it was like the next day or 2 days. Within that week, I did my interview with Hawk at Orange Theory, and then that train started rolling, and I started to shift my clients to that 15-hour day. So it was like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I was at Export, and my schedule was booked 15 hours. And same thing, if someone cancels, then I have some time off. And I blocked everything off till the end of time, so they could not throw anything in. And he knew about Will, and the general manager knew about Will. The general manager didn't care at the time because I was still doing what they needed to be done. And so I'm, training these clients, and I just go home and then come back on Wednesday. And he started asking like, what are you doing on like Tuesdays and Thursdays? I was like, I'm helping my dad at his office. And he's like, whatever. And like, he just was like, every day was annoyed with me, and like our good rapport diminished real quick. And one day he's just like, I know you're at Orange Theory. I'm going to tell the general manager. And I was like, no worries, I got this. And I just walked over to the general manager, and I just let him know. I was like, hey, I just want to give you my 2-week notice. I'm going to go start working at Orange Theory. And the guy, I will never forget, Mike was biting his fist because he was so angry that I wouldn't have told him. And I was like, so I'll give you guys 2 weeks. And he was like, the general manager stuck his hand out. He's like, Brian, I know we haven't met or known each other very long, but I know you've done a great job here. You have a lot of clients, and you ever want to come back to Export, you can. Mm-hmm. Mike didn't say a word to me, and I finished my day. I think I still worked for another week or two with the same schedule, but it was much different. And it was quite the experience. And one last thing before we send it off, with John Orr and Steve Fisher. I was a little wild training people back then. Won't go into the details. But during that time in those interludes where, it wouldn't have the numbers, John would be riding our ass. And one day he was just coming at me, like, called me aloof. And I'll never forget, I like broke down because I'm like, 2 days ago, the guy was praising me and like, you're awesome and all this stuff. And I was good friends with Steve, outside of, the whole gym thing. And I just remember we're sitting off to the side by the spa area and John's just going at me and Steve comes up. He's like, is everything all right? And I'm like, no, it's not. And I just start crying. And they're like, we need to go into one of the massage rooms. And they're like dark tinted rooms. And I'm crying my eyes out because I'm like, this guy is just up my ass all the time. I kill myself for you guys. I'm here all the time, crying. I'm, all this stuff. And they hand me a towel and my contact comes out and then I'm like messing with my eyes and they're like, is everything right? I'm like, I lost my contact. And we all just started laughing. And that's the one thing I'll never forget. Like, John apologizes to me for like talking to me like that. And I'm pretty sure within a week I hit all my numbers. And, but yeah, once again, shout out to Steve Fisher. Shout out to John Orr. I feel like if it wasn't for John Orr, this would have not had happened or lasted as long.
100%.
He's a catalyst.
And just devil's advocate, there is something to pushing people to their limits because you don't.
Right.
We wouldn't have tried as hard to get those numbers. There's just that pressure on you all the time. Like, well, fuck, like John's gonna talk to me if I don't do this.
Right.
And so it's just there is something to it, but it was just not always received well or not delivered well. Right. So, but either way.
So if
I don't look at John Orr in a bad light when I think of him.
Right, no,
think of the
not
funny
at all.
Stuff and everything else.
Oh no, a lot of great times. A lot of great times even after Export, dealing with John Orr.
Yeah.
But suffice it to say, anybody who's looking to get into personal training, to be a trainer, if you're not necessarily looking to be a salesman or treated like a salesman, I'd probably look to stay away from a gym like that or find out how they structure things for the trainers. If you are trying to start off and you don't want your ass to be rode about making numbers, would be big. Unless that's your thing, like you're a salesperson but you also want to sell fitness. Maybe that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, then that job is for you.
Yeah.
If you can sell yourself, you're set.
Shout out to Donald Smith.
Yeah,
I believe he still works there. He held out. He held out.
I bet he's got to be killing it.
Yeah,
there's no way. But anyways. It's the dumbest. I don't know, might be 63 minutes at this point.
There you go. Hopefully you could contain yourself for 63 minutes and you didn't have to finish early.
If we
certainly didn't.
No, yeah. I could go another 2 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Might have to carb up.
Never done that before. All right.
So long.
Sign off.
Oh.